Here's Jeff Marek, the host of The Sheet, daily on the Nation Network, with us on Fridays.
Hello.
How are you? How are you?
I am well. I'll tell you what. You know why I'm really well? Because, and I've been making this point all week long, Filip Chytil looks good.
Oh.
Am I like all like our last conversations were all about like who's going to be 2C, and you know, but I'll tell you what cinched it for me. Playing 3 games in a row, and then that pass to Lekramaki on Sunday. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, now bubble wrap him, and don't let him touch the ice until the beginning of the season.
Yeah, and here's the thing, Jeff. Like, you can go up and down this Vancouver Canucks roster, and the guys who sort of needed to look good to make us feel comfortable about this roster,
I know,
have all hit their mark. Whether that's Filip Chytil, whether that's Aatu, whether that's the kids, Coots and Lekramaki, whether that's EPD on defense, whether that's Victor Mancini on defense.
Victor Mancini.
Pedersen has had his moments.
Okay, you guys are going to make me be devil's advocate guy. Hey, Filip Chytil has looked very good, but he sort of looked like you'd expect like a 50-point center to look like a Pius Suter. But as we knew from last year, Pius Suter is not a second-line center. So great for Filip Chytil, but this still isn't the solution. Let's not act like this is the solution.
For me, if you get, and probably closer to 60 than 50, but if you get between 50 and 60 points from your second-line center, aren't you happy? Like, isn't that what you want from your second line center? I mean,
well, that's a baseline second line center.
It depends how much you get from your first line center.
Yeah,
I mean, 45 isn't going to cut it for Pedersen, but
yeah, I don't know. Like, look, again, we've talked so much about Chytil. There's 2 tests, right? Does he make it through a game? And he has. And does he look good? And he has. Mm-hmm. He's looked confident. He's made plays. He hasn't looked shy. Like, I don't know. Again, I always grain of salt it because it's preseason. I understand, but if I'm a Vancouver Canucks fan, I'm feeling pretty good about what I've seen. So, like, all you can do is just play the games that are there. All you can do is play the games that are there.
Yeah. Well, that was my follow-up. Like, for a kid like Coots, it matters. But, like, if I name-check you 8 Canucks veterans who all have looked good to great in preseason, does it matter? Does it carry over?
Yeah.
To Thursday night against Calgary and then Saturday in Edmonton.
And the guy you feel sorry for is Max Sasson, right? Because you might just
who's also looked good.
Had 2 goals. I know, but that's the thing. Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, do you just go path of least resistance on this situation, which managers always say that they won't do, and then they always do.
They've got a lot of bubble guys, and there's even talk that they might be interested in another one in Lucas Reichel. And you hope that all of these guys are able to put forth their best and let the Canucks have a tough problem. But the truth of the matter is they've got too many of these bubble guys, and they're all kind of in the same vicinity. Somebody's going to be disappointed here.
I've always liked Drew O'Connor. Where are you guys at on him? Big, strong.
He's on the team. He's going to potentially. There's some that think he's the Nils Höglander replacement if he wants it to be.
Oh, is that playing with Kiefer Sherwood and Ratu?
Yeah.
That's the advanced
line? Yeah,
or Bluger. Yeah.
That could be that line could be a problem.
Yeah.
Like that line could be a real bruise to play against. I don't mind that. I like that. That's a good one.
What do you like about it?
What I like about it is you have size and tenacity, and you want to have as many, pardon the expression, you want as many pricks out there as possible. Like, you want miserable players. You want guys like the Florida Panthers won 2 Stanley Cups back to back because they're not. People always blast me when I say this, but it's true. They're not the most skilled team. They have a baseline of skill. They have some players that are elite. Their most elite player is injured for the season right now, but they're just miserable to play against. It's like Bill Zito put together a team full of cranky hockey players. Bill Zito's first move as general manager of the Florida Panthers was to bring in Patrick Hornquist and say, like, okay, this is the model. I'm going to try to get as many Patrick Hornquists on one team as I can, and he did. Like, you want to be miserable to play against. You want to have guys that are nasty and guys that can just skate you into the ground and aren't shy about showing up shift after shift. That's what I would look at that line. And yeah, I mean, we've talked about how much I love Kiefer Sherwood before, and that's why I kind of like that.
I just love the Florida model going forward where you instruct your amateur scouts. Well, get a profile on his personality. Oh, okay, what are we looking for? Nice, respectful young men? No, we want miserable. Cranky.
I want
we want 18 going on 79, just hates the world and is going to get his pound of flesh.
I want the guy that gets to the rink and the first thing he does is complain about the coffee. And we're not sure if he has upper teeth. I'll take that guy every day of the week.
Okay, let's move.
Let's pin you down one last time before the rosters are set on Braden Coots.
Yeah, I had a question on Coots for him.
Because we've got one more week of evidence on Braden Coots, here's the thing: if he makes this team, there is a good chance. There is a narrow path, but there's a good chance that somebody gets put on waivers because he makes the team. In the world of asset management, and we talked about a lot of these bubble players, but maybe it's just Pierre-Olivier Joseph that ends up on waivers.
Not if he's hurt, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, but most likely Coots making the team puts a decent-looking player, albeit probably a quad A player, on waivers. Do you do that?
I don't. I don't for this Vancouver Canucks team. I know that Braden Coots has looked fantastic, but has he earned it? And you guys are a lot closer to it than I am.
Yes,
has he earned it? Yes,
probably. Yeah,
he has. He's been fantastic. That's awesome. Take this experience back to the Western Hockey League, into the World Juniors, and come back knowing that you belong there. Because now this prospect has answered a question for himself and the organization: can I hang in the high rent district? And the answer, based on preseason, yes. But do you put him on the roster not knowing? I mean, listen, Jet Luchenko made the Philadelphia Flyers last year. And they quickly realized, okay, you know what? It's one thing to do it in training camp, and then you get to the big boys, and all of a sudden it's different. But you can't let it cost you anybody. You can't run the risk of losing an asset because this kid, who's still junior eligible, as we all know, can go back to the Western Hockey League and not harm his development one bit. Unfortunately that clash where it's, have you made the team? Yes, but we also have an asset management issue. And it's not as if he's like lit the NHL on fire and all of a sudden he's going to be a first line. Like, no, he's not that guy. Has he made the team? Yes, but enough to say that he should stay on this team. Bless him, but no. Not for me. It's going to cost you an asset. So
I hear you. You told us that last week, and it's all sound logic. Assuming he makes the team, what is the deployment? How would they best use an 18-year-old? Because he's got to play to some degree, right? Otherwise, just why is he here? Yeah. But does he play every game? Do you use him in a strictly fourth line, no specialty team?
You can do the Shane Wright treatment with play a game and then sit enough that you get sent down. Like there's a lot of tricky ways that you can do this. I mean, the Shane Wright model with Seattle is one of them. But if I am the Vancouver Canucks and now I've realized what an asset and what a find I have in Braden Coots and where I was able to pick him up in the draft, I want him in a situation where he's both challenged and comfortable at the same time. I don't want this season to be a bunny hop for Braden Coots. I don't want it to be, I'm going to play a little bit here, I'm going to play a little bit there, and then I'm going to hop over the juniors in Minnesota. Then I'm going to, I don't want that. Mm-hmm. If I'm the Vancouver Canucks, I want the guy to be able to have an address and be comfortable and also be pushed. Listen, an 18-year-old's not going to get hurt by going back to junior hockey for one more year, especially not Braden Coots.
But bouncing him around can. Bouncing him around can hurt him,
Bouncing him around can. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, how many players have you seen? Have four different PO boxes in a season, and they come out the other end going like, "What just happened here?" Like that's not development.
And he's a kid. He's that kid.
Again, like you're on the guy. He's good enough to make the team, but there's one word that I really hate in the dictionary, and I always tell my kids like, go to the dictionary and go to the F section where it says fair and tear that page out. because in the real world, the word fair, in a fair world, Braden Coots is on this team. The world isn't fair. There's a lot of other contributing factors here that go into making this addition to the Vancouver Canucks. Western Hockey League, World Juniors, come back next year knowing that you're good enough to play here. That to me is a win for Braden Coots and the Canucks. This guy's so good though, man.
In a world,
he really has.
In a world where Luke Hughes and Jackson Lacombe get $9 million a year, is Quinn getting $20 million a year next summer when he's eligible?
Don't laugh. That's my new pet project. $20 million a year for Quinn Hughes.
Blake's thing is make him over and above the highest paid player in hockey, so that if he does say no, you get to go to your fans and say, we offered this son of a gun $20 million a year, and he said no. What more can we do?
So many conversations now with what's happened this week, both Kaprizov and both with Luke Hughes in New Jersey. One, I think we all wonder about Lane Hutson with the Montreal Canadiens. And by the way, I was mentioning this on the show yesterday. That negotiation has the most interesting GM-agent dynamic going in the NHL, and a dynamic that we haven't seen in quite some time. Kent Hughes, former agent at Cortex, was the guy that brought Sean Coffey in. And he was Sean Coffey's mentor for the longest time with Cortex before he took the job as GM of the Montreal Canadiens. Those conversations must be fascinating. And if Luke Hughes is 9, what is Lane Hutson? And then I was having a conversation, a random call from someone today saying, well, and it's always the comparable, right? Well, if Luke Hughes is $9 million, what does that mean for someone who is, arbitration eligible at the end of the season, and Philip Broberg? Like, all of a sudden, like, what is St. Louis going to pay? Like, the cascading effect, like, everything is joined, right? And then whatever Hudson signs for, it's going to affect Bill Guerin in Minnesota when he has to do Zeev Boyum. Like, nothing exists in isolation here with any of these contracts. And this is a story I remember saying this on the show yesterday. It's a famous story about Gary Bettman's first managers meeting. Brian Burke told me this one. And Serge Savard, running the Montreal Canadiens, had signed a player over and above everybody expected his compensation to be. And Bob Gainey, who was running Minnesota at that point, really took exception to it. Now, Gainey and Savard, even when they played together, never saw eye to eye. But it got to the point where they were yelling at each other. And next thing you know, people are like pulling away and pushing away tables and chairs. And the guys were rolling up their sleeves. And Gary Bettman says to Brian Burke, like, what's going on here? And Brian says, well, Gary, you're going to see a fight. So, like, that's how, like, every general manager and Gainey and Savard almost came to blows at Bettman's first managers meeting. But it affects Armstrong. It's going to affect Guerin. Like, all these contracts cascade to everybody around the NHL. And for the purposes of this show, it's going to affect Quinn Hughes, too. I don't know, it's to the tune of $20 million. For whatever reason, North American players seem to think that they have to manage the cap for teams, which they don't. And that's why I like what Kaprizov did and said, I don't care, 16 now, I want 17. And God.
Yeah. You forgot to mimic Brian Burke rubbing his hands together. You're going to see a fight.
I can absolutely hear Berkey say, well, Gary, you're going to see a fight. There's no part of me that can envision or hear Bob Gainey raising his voice, especially in front of other people. Like, Bob's just had such a dignity and class and decorum about him over the years.
True.
Incidentally, I know our friend Stephen Brunt told me this last time he was here. He's pitched Bob Gainey a book. And Bob has no desire for any kind of limelight or anything like that. Doesn't want to write a book.
I get it.
Yeah. So
I'm
not sure.
To me, it's one of the great careers in the history of the game.
Oh, that's it.
That was respected all over the hockey. They created the Selke Trophy for him.
Well, that's it.
Like, Bob is so good at this one scale. Like, they invented a trophy for Bob Gainey.
Well, and the story of the Russian coach is coming on over, right? And seeing Gainey and like...
Oh, Tikhonov. Tikhonov.
Yeah, like Tikhonov and those guys, like you thought they would be mesmerized by Orr or Gretzky or this. No, they walked away talking about Gainey. They had never seen a winger play like that defensive... I mean, he revolutionized defensive sort of postures and constructions because of the way he played the game.
And now, even though they created the trophy for a winger, it is impossible for a
to
winger
win it
to win
as
that
a winger.
trophy.
Yeah,
it just goes to centers, and that's it.
Very good call.
But it was a Gainey,
okay.
Gainey trophy.
We've reached Easter egg. Oh no, you're going to tell us about Caleb Malhotra first, because you've seen Manny's boy there rip it up in the OHL.
Oh, Manny Malhotra's kid is a gem on and off the ice. I'll tell you a quick story in a couple seconds, but I think he's like 5th in OHL scoring right now. Had a 5-point night last weekend. Heavy shot, great skater. He's Manny's kid, elite level IQ. Players love him. I was texting with Jay McKee, his coach with the Brantford Bulldogs last night, and I said, give me one thing that'll impress me about Caleb Malhotra that nobody else will see. And I'll just watch the game, but tell me, give me something that'll really impress. He goes, you can tell he's Manny's kid because before every game, he skates over OHL. He skates over to the linesman to ask them what their first name is, because he wants to get to know them. It's like next level here. If he's like, Jay's like, I couldn't believe he goes up to every single line and says, what's your first name, sir?
Apologies, we had some technical difficulties with Jeff Marek.
But interesting to hear about Malhotra, because you know that kid is going to have been raised with the right hockey mentality.
Right.
You know, I wondered about this kid because, you know, we've seen other guys in the BCHL, legacy players, Doug Waite's kid, Amonte's kid, Brindamore's kid. You know, a lot of them they're just guys.
Yep.
But not this one, maybe.
And Caleb was 26 points in 44 games in the BCHL as a 16-year-old.
Yeah. That's pretty good for a 16-year-old, though.
Yeah, not bad. And as Jeff notes, he is going to be his father was a high pick.
Yep.
I know we all consider Manny Malhotra
third-line guy,
the third-line shutdown, checking, defensive specialist, face-off specialist. Manny Malhotra was the top 10 pick who had a lot of offensive pedigree and was one of those guys where the offense didn't translate, and so he reinvented himself.
He was a Rangers pick, if I'm missing. Yeah,
I believe you're
right.
Mean,
for them,
seventh overall.
Seventh overall. Like, he was a bust for a Rangers fan.
Yeah.
Even though he turned out to have a great career.
He had a fantastic NHL career. And I'm disappointed because we had a hell of an Easter egg for Jeff Marek.
We're going to save
back to it next week.